Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cordell McGarry, and I'm a Senior Certification Officer in the Department of Procurement Services. I'm going to talk about the City of Chicago's certification and compliance programs for minority and women-owned businesses. And hopefully we'll be able to answer any questions that you have along the way. Please feel free to interrupt me at any time if you do have any questions. Just to give you a little bit of idea about our department, we're the Department of Procurement Services, and we're responsible for the procurement of goods and services for all of our city departments. We are the contracting authority for the City of Chicago in that regard, and we pretty much cover everything from, let's say, the acquisition of paper to vehicles. So we do it all for all of our departments. We contract basically over $2 billion of goods and services annually for the city. In the Department of Procurement Services, we also have the Certification and Compliance Division, of which I'm a part of. And we're responsible for the administration of the city's certification programs, of which there are 5. We pretty much are involved in the acceptance and review of new applications for certification. We do annual reviews and also 5-year reconsiderations of eligibility for the programs. There are basically 5 programs that we look at. The Minority and Business Enterprise Program, or MBE, the Women Business Enterprise Program, WBE, and the Business Enterprise Program for People with Disabilities, or BEPD. The first 3 programs are what I refer to as the local programs that are governed under the local ordinance of the City of Chicago. There are 2 other programs that we're also involved in, and that's called the DBE and ACDBE programs, which stands for the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise and the Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprise programs. These programs are governed by federal regulations promulgated from the Department of Transportation, so I refer to these as the federal programs. Certification provides a number of benefits for the participants, and basically we strive to try to create a level playing field for small businesses that are eligible, minority or women-owned businesses, to compete and participate in opportunities for city contracts. Once you're certified with the City of Chicago, your name is listed in a directory which is accessible by the general public. So if anyone wanted to know basically who the minority or women-owned businesses are, they can go right to a directory to locate that information. We also set goals for participation in our contracts, and that's pretty much, again, to afford participation on the part of minority and women-owned businesses. We have a target market program where we actually try to create exclusive opportunities for eligible businesses that are certified with the City of Chicago as a minority or women-owned business. This allows businesses to pretty much get involved in the target, participate in the 100% of the contractor or at the contract opportunity, and that it's not pretty much shared or competed with anyone else other that's not minority or women-owned businesses. Qualifying groups for participation in our programs would be African American or Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian and Asian Pacific Americans, Native Americans, women, and people with disabilities. From time to time, there are other individuals who, if they can prove that they've been the victims of chronic discrimination, can also qualify for our programs on a case-by-case basis. For our local programs, the MBE and WBE programs, we require that place of the business operations be situated within the City of Chicago or the 6 counties that are surrounding Chicago. Those counties being Cook, DuPage, Kane, Lake, McHenry, or Will counties. For the DBE and ACDBE programs, which are federal programs, you can be principal operation can be anywhere in the state of Illinois. In terms of qualification, we ask that businesses that are seeking certification as a woman or minority-owned business or DBE basically have the position that consists of at least 51% ownership by qualifying individuals, which in the case of being a minority, 51% of the business or more should be owned and controlled by a minority. The same would apply to women-owned businesses as well. MBEs or WBEs must not be considered an established business. And what we're saying by that is that we target our programs for small businesses. In the MBE program, for firms that are involved in non-construction programs, we require that your gross sales not exceed $37.3 million averaged over a 3-year period. For construction firms, that's a little different. It's tied to what we call the SBA industry standard, and as it pertains to that particular industry that the construction firm may be working in. For the DBE program, it's also tied to the SBA small business standards with a cap of $22.4 million for, again, averaged over 3 years for small businesses. For the ACDBE program, the the gross sales figure is a little higher, which is reflective of the capital investment that many of our ACDBEs have to go along with in order to invest in the airport concessions. The application process, we try to make it somewhat simple. You can apply either with a hard copy application. There are some on the table here for the MBE and WBE programs. We also feature an electronic application process, which you can find on our website. That's www.chicago.mwdbe.com. There's a fee for applications for MBE and WBE programs. That fee is $250, which is more or less payable in the form of a money order or cashier's check made payable to the City of Chicago. For the federal programs, DBE and ACDBE, there is no application fee. The application process is pretty much simple. We pretty much try to collect information regarding the business. We want contact information, of course, who we're working with, the type of certification that you're seeking. Businesses are certified based on the type of business that they're involved in. So, for example, if I'm a Cordell McGarry, the plumber, I'm certified as a plumber. If you're an architect, you're certified in the area of architecture. So we ask for pretty much information regarding the business itself, its ownership, the type of certification that you're seeking in terms of whether or not it's MBE, WBE, or DBE, or ACDBE. We also want to get information regarding the type of business that you're involved in. We also look for information regarding how you operate, where you're operating from, and also financial information, which we use to compile to look at the determination of small business size standards. We look at experience. Businesses that are out in operation that are owned by a minority need to be controlled by that minority. To that extent, we expect to receive information regarding their experience, which can be in the form of resumes, affiliation with professional associations, and also contract information that you may be able to provide us evidencing that your performance in a particular field. The types of businesses that could qualify for certification basically are the standard forms of business. We know them as the sole proprietor, which is an individual that pretty much is owns and operates his business by himself. Again, using the example of Cordell McGarry, the plumber, that would be a form of a proprietorship. You also have a form of business known as the general partnership, which is basically two or more individuals that have come together in a somewhat informal relationship to conduct business operations. And then normally that's evidenced by a partnership agreement. We have limited partnerships, which pretty much a little bit more detailed, more formal. The individuals, they pretty much have, again, assumed name in many cases. They have a certificate of limited partnership and an agreement that details their operation. The most common form of business organization is a corporation. Corporations are pretty much a legal entity unto themselves and is evidenced by most certainly stock ownership by the individuals and articles of incorporation and bylaws which define the purpose and operation of the business. The last business organization form that we have is called the LLC, and that's the Limited Liability Corporation. It operates similar to that of a corporation. Instead of having stockholders, though, it has pretty much managing members or members and is headed by a managing member. In the MBE program, rather the local programs, we draw a distinction between types of businesses that are involved. In the case of suppliers, we try to define basically what suppliers are as opposed to distributors and brokers. All are eligible for certification with the exception of the broker, but for purposes of definition, we look at a supplier as a regular dealer, a firm that operates or owns or maintains a store, warehouse, or other establishment by which they sell materials and goods to the public. Distributors, on the other hand, are identified as firms that have a direct relationship with a manufacturer to distribute its products and services generally within a defined territory or region, and these goods are not generally available to other people outside of the distributor for purposes of resale. Brokers, as we indicated earlier, are not eligible for certification as an MBE or WBE, and we define brokers as a person or entity that fills their orders by purchasing or receiving supplies from a third-party supplier, and they provide pretty much just the purpose of facilitating the purchase of good or service for another individual. They take no ownership of the goods or services, they just pretty much act as a pass-through or a middleman in that sense. Groups or businesses operating like that will not be eligible for certification under our MBE programs. The process for our applications generally take roughly about 60 to 90 days from the date we receive all of the documents and supporting information. We have a review process to make sure that the applications are complete, and we also review the information to be sure that it's accurate. In some cases, we also do a site visit with regard to visiting the business to confirm the fact that it's an operation and its owners pretty much who they are and that they're knowledgeable of the business. Once you're certified, under all of our programs, the average length of certification would be for 5 years. We have an expedited process with regard to the MBE and WBE programs, in which if you have a previous relationship with the Women's Business Development Center or the Chicago Supply Minority Development Council, and you're seeking certification with the city for the first time, we have a process by which we will work with them to expedite the application process. It results normally in fewer documents that are having to be provided by you to the city for review. We rely on the certification process of these agencies and making our determination for the most part. Once you're certified, as indicated earlier, you're certified for a period of 5 years. However, on an annual basis, we do require certified businesses to check in with us from time to time. And what we mean by that is they submit an affidavit of no change. On an annual basis, we look to receive this information, which typically will result in the firm sending us an affidavit indicating that there's been no changes to ownership or composition that would change the circumstances of their certification. At the end of the 5-year period, we go through what's called a recertification process, and you must recertify after every 5 years. Firms that are certified, again, you're certified in a particular area of specialty. Going back to the example I used earlier, Cordell McGarry, the plumber, I'm certified as a plumber. Let's say in the course of the 5-year period, I may expand my scope of services to take on additional tasks. I may go to school and become an electrician. And I want to now expand my certification so that I can compete for projects that involve electrical work. I can, in fact, expand my certification to cover that, and that we call expansion of services. It's an informal process by which we don't require an application. However, we do ask that the company that's seeking the expansion of services provide us with a written request on the company letterhead where they, in fact, identify the areas that they wish to expand into, and they're going to provide information to support that. So, for example, again, Cordell McGarry, the plumber, is now going into electrical work. I've gone to school. I've done some maybe apprentice work as an electrician. I can document that and provide that information to you, you being the city, of course, for consideration of an expansion. And if all things being equal, I will probably get the expansion. We work with a number of sister agencies to also further the goal of the MBE and WBE programs. The Chicago Public Schools, Cook County, the Park District are a few. All of these sister agencies have purchasing the procurement departments there, so they translate into opportunities for qualified MBE and WBEs for participation. I don't know if you can see the information quite readily, but in our handouts there should be information pertaining to contacting these agencies, and I encourage you to do so with respect to getting into procurement opportunities. With regards to Cook County, we have a reciprocal relationship with Cook County whereupon we accept their certifications and they accept ours. So if you're certified as a minority or woman-owned business with Cook County, we will accept your certification on city projects, and they in turn will accept ours on their projects as well. Okay. Now, we've gotten to the point where you've done the application, you submitted it, you're waiting for a result, and we try our best to get back to you. However, there are times when we have to deny you. The top 10 reasons that we run into with regard to applications being denied are pretty much consist of providing unsubstantiated or questionable ownership and control. For example, I'm listed in my documents as being, let's say, a 51% owner of the company. However, I provide information that indicates that maybe I share ownership on a 50-50 basis with someone else that is not a minority. If I can't substantiate that I have the ownership and control of the business, then I can be denied. The description of the critical function of the managers and owners can also lead to a person being disqualified in the event that it's not clear as to what role they play in the company. As a certified business and being owner of a certified business, you must have a thorough understanding and knowledge of the skills and processes or products or services that the business offers. So again, as a plumber, I should have a background in plumbing. I should be able to demonstrate that I can control, the business from a point of understanding how the business operates and make critical decisions without assistance from someone else. With regard to, again, company cannot substantiate where startup funds and expansion capital comes from. Everyone at the start of a business, they make an investment. I mean, it could be as little as $1 or papers, cost of maybe filing paperwork with the Secretary of State. You need to pretty much identify where the capital came from to start your business. It should come from the owners and not anyone else. In the event that you can't substantiate that, that could lead to being denied. Examples of, let's say, contributions to invest in a business could be receipts evidencing equipment that you may have purchased for the business, maybe, again, a deposit that you might make to start your account at a bank, or money that you may have used to, again, to acquire equipment that you may need in the business itself. Outside secondary employment could be another reason why you could be denied. We expect businesses that are involved or certified as a minority-owned business to be operated and controlled by the minorities. In the event that your employment prevents you from being actively involved in your business 100% of the time, that could lead to, again, questions as to whether or not you're really in control of your business and could result in you being denied. Again, for the minority and women-owned business programs or the local programs, you have to have your office based within the Chicago area, which consists of the Chicago proper and the 6 counter regions. In the event that that's not the case, you can also be denied. During the application process, you submit to us a package of information. We go through the information. We may have questions regarding some of the information that we have. There may be some missing pieces. We will try to reach out to you. We'll contact you a lot of times by phone, or and more formally, we may send you a letter. In the event that we reach out to you and you don't respond to us in a timely manner, that could be, again, grounds for denial, and it's called lack of cooperation. As we go through the application, we find sometimes that a business may refer to itself in more than one way. It's a common thing I see in many cases. I could be Cordell McGarry the plumber. I could be McGarry Plumbing, Inc., and in the documents that I give you, I'm using the names interchangeably. If we can't determine how you're operating in the formal legal name for you to operate under, that could be a basis for denial. So if you're working under, let's say, an assumed name, suggestion would be to file an assumed name certificate with the proper authorities, which would be either Cook County if you're a proprietorship, or if you're a corporation, with the Secretary of State of Illinois. We look at contracts that you may provide as part of the application process to substantiate your ability to perform in a certain area. One common thing that we might look at to justify whether or not Cordell McGarry is a plumber is to look at contracts that Cordell McGarry has been involved in, where he has submitted, he's done work for a firm, and the scope of work has been defined, it's been completed, and I've received payment. If there's information that you're providing with regard to contracts to substantiate your skills and levels, abilities, please make sure that they're complete, that they're not missing or incomplete, or that they're not signed by the proper people that's involved in the contract itself. We look for review of documents. For example, when we look at tax returns, a lot of times we'll look for schedules that may be attached, or that will call for them to be attached. If these documents are not attached, and there's no reason why that's to be the case, that could also be a cause for denial. In many cases, we look at an application, you may see as you go through a document checklist, someone says not applicable, but they don't tell you why it's not applicable. If we don't understand why it's not applicable, again, that could be a basis for denial. I always ask that businesses that are seeking certification complete their application as thoroughly as possible to indicate basically what the business is about, to tell a story, so to speak. Why are we here? What do we do? How do we do it? Who are the major people involved? There may be circumstances that might be unique to your business that may not be unique to others, and we may need to understand that in order to make a determination of certification. If we ask for ongoing businesses, they provide us with 3 years of tax returns. In the event that we don't get the information, it's going to be difficult for us to do calculations of gross sales, for example. That could be a basis for denial as well. For businesses that are starting up, you're brand new and you don't have 3 years of tax returns, and I saw your hand, just tell a story. Basically explain, let us know that I started my business January 1st, 3 years of tax returns aren't available. We can understand that. Okay. After going through all of that, if you have any questions or you need help, we're here. Our number is 744-4900. Call our office, ask to speak to a certification officer. We're available to try to help at all times. That's what we're here for. We've come to the end of the presentation. Are there any questions? Okay, it's 312-744-4900. Okay, this 744-4900. Got a question?
Yes. You mentioned the application fee was $250.
Yes.
So there is no waiver on that at all?
Unfortunately, not at this time.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
You mentioned also that brokers are not eligible.
Yes.
I'm a licensed insurance broker. Am I included in that brokerage?
In that sense, no. I was speaking about brokers from the standpoint of being a supplier or a distributor. As a broker of services such as real estate or insurance, that's a different subject altogether, and that would be excluded from the definition of broker as we referred to it in the presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This stuff information is not on the paper. Like, what if I do it on a different paper, like type up my response? Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable. We encourage you to tell the story. Don't feel that you're limited by space on an application. The space is there to provide general information, but many times you'll need to elaborate. We encourage you to do that. Okay.
I have one more question. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm a sole proprietor, so my taxes are kind of, I don't know what my tax person does, okay, to be honest with you, I'm not a professional tax person. But, what schedule is it that you're looking for?
Well, in your case, you're going to provide us with the entire tax return. But let's say you're going to give us a 1040. What we'll need from a business perspective, will probably be Schedule C, that portion of the tax return that will identify the business activity. Okay. So, yes, sir.
So the total cost of getting this certification to the whole process is only $250?
That's the application fee, and it's just for processing. That's it.
Total,
I'm sorry?
what is the total amount for certification period?
That would be.
That's it?
That would be it, yes. Again, for the DB and ACDBE programs, the federal programs, there is no application fee.
Which one again?
The DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, and the ACDBE, Airport Concessions, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise.
What makes you disadvantaged? What would qualify you as being disadvantaged?
Under the DBE program, the term disadvantage refers to groups of people that are presumed to have been the victims of discriminatory activity over a period of time. It includes black people, it includes Asian Americans, it includes Hispanics. There's the group that we illustrated earlier with regard to minorities. Again, blacks, Hispanics, Asian Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, Native Americans, groups of that women. These are all groups that have been presumed to have been the victims of chronic discrimination over a historical period of time. And they would qualify under the DBE program as being disadvantaged.
So that is what waive that fee? Did you just say that?
I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with regard to the DBE program, there is no fee. For the federal programs, there is no application fee.
Okay.
Okay, for the local programs, the minority business enterprise, the women business enterprise, and there is an application fee, and it just offsets some of the processing costs.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for that.
It's okay, no problem.
Can you be all three at the same time? Like, can you be DB and MD, all three at the same time?
Yes, you can, and that's a good point.
Each time?
That's a good point. Certification programs are tools. They don't guarantee that you'll get a contract, but most certainly they're good tools to have when opportunities come about that where we're looking for qualified minority and women-owned businesses. So as a new business person, you may want to take advantage of all the opportunities to participate in contracts as they come about. So yes, you can be a DBE, you can be a WBE, and an MBE if you qualify. If you meet the qualifying criteria, yes, you can be certified in literally all of the programs.
So I pay $250 each time, though, right?
No. That's another good question. For the local programs, the MBE and WBE programs, if you apply together at the same time, it's just one fee.
Oh, okay.
So yes, that one fee will cover both certifications. And by the way, under the Business Enterprise Program for people with disabilities, there is no application fee. Yes, sir.
I got two questions. The top 10 questions or reasons for making mistakes, is that available somewhere? Is that online or?
I believe it is posted online. I'll have to double check with.
I don't see it in any of the handouts, so I got it.
Okay. Well, certainly it should be there.
You would want multiple certifications because you do some targeted solicitations just for women or minorities, or I mean, why would you want multiple?
Well,
Is there-
there are some opportunities where, again, there are goals that are set for participation
Right.
by the various groups. So there may be, let's say, a request for proposal that's issued where there may be an opportunity for women-owned businesses to participate. So you set a goal for participation by that group. Minorities, they may also have a participation goal. So it's set up based on that. You can have multiple certifications, but you can't. I wouldn't suggest you try to qualify for all of them in one contract.
There was a third local one that you didn't talk much about, which was the disabilities.
Yes, sir.
BEPD, is that considered local or federal?
BEPD. It's a local program.
Okay.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Once you're accepted, like, I go through the application process, I'm accepted and everything. Am I able to market myself this way?
Sure. It's a tool. It's a tool. Feel free to market yourself. If you want to hold yourself out to be an MBE or WBE. And one reason why is there are a lot of private sector industries, businesses like hospitals, for example, that may have supply diversity programs where they endeavor to provide contract opportunities to minorities and women-owned businesses. They may not have their own certification program, so they'll rely upon the certification programs of the city and the county to identify those businesses that are minorities and women-owned businesses for that participation.
Is there a benefit for people that do business with people like that? I mean, that's in this program? Is there a benefit to them?
There could be, in one sense. We encourage, we do encourage most certainly participation in creating supply opportunities for small and minority-owned businesses. For some businesses, prime contractors, for example, that may look at working with minorities or women-owned businesses outside of the city programs, there could be a benefit the next time they come back to do business with the city.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yes, ma'am.
Is it possible you can bring up that slide and list all of the different certifications?
Okay. There are 5.
You can tell me off the
Okay,
top.
Minority Business Enterprise, MBE. The Women Business Enterprise, WBE. Business Enterprises for People with Disabilities, we refer to that as BEPD. Those 3 programs are the local programs, or that they're governed by a local city ordinance. The other 2 programs are federal programs, and they are the DBE program for Disadvantaged Business Enterprises and the ACDBE programs, Airport Concessions Disadvantaged Business Enterprises.
Thank you.
Okay. Talk a little bit about the ACDBE program. It's one that's come dear to me in recent months. The ACDBE program basically pertains to businesses that want to get involved at the airport, generally in the area of concessions. So, like, for example, we're doing work on O'Hare expansion. There's a new terminal that just recently opened up. Hopefully there'll be opportunities for small businesses to participate in opportunities that operate a concession. So for that end, there's a lot of opportunities for people in the food concession, let's say food service industry. There could also be business opportunities for businesses that provide services to those businesses, or businesses that provide services to other businesses that may be operating at the airport. To give you an example as to how certification can be a tool for opportunity, I used the example of maybe, let's say, a car rental facility at the airport like Avis or Hertz. They may need someone to wash their cars. I have a business that does car washing. It's mobile. Great opportunity if I could hook up with them to provide services. As a being an ACDB, you can have that opportunity. So again, if you look at it as a tool, it could be beneficial in many ways. You had a question,
What
sir?
about, so that would relate to transportation? You said airport, what about transportation?
Yes, yes. Chicago Transit Authority, for example, they deal exclusively in transportation-related activities. They have a DBE program. And once you're certified as a DBE, by the way, or ACDBE, you're automatically certified with 5 other agencies. That would be City of Chicago, Chicago Transit Authority, Metro, PACE, and the Illinois Department of Transportation. So any opportunities involving transportation where a DBE is being looked at as an opportunity, once you're certified, you can participate in all those opportunities.
So you don't pay the $250 for that?
No, there's no application fee for the federal programs. Okay.
So can you bid on those jobs right now?
I'm sorry?
Can we bid on those jobs?
Bidding normally would require you to be certified at the time of bid submission.
You have to be certified?
You would have to be certified in order to participate as a minority or DBE or ACDB at the time of bid. You'd have to be certified.
So what agency would be best to have assist you fill out an application properly? What agency?
I would refer you to our sister agencies. We have relationships with a number of agencies. Again, I think our handouts and most certainly our website, could also be a good source of information to get that detail. I would suggest everyone, before you leave, get a copy of the DPS Alerts card here. Subscribe to the DPS Alerts card. Our website provides a wealth of information. One benefit about this is that whenever a contract opportunity comes up, if you subscribe, you'll be notified. But you also have links to other groups and get a list of our sister agencies. Those agencies, for example, could be the Hispanic American Chamber of Commerce or there are a number of local Chamber of Commerces that are part of our group. Child Inspired Minority Development Council. Groups like that are always available to help and do the application process. Yes, ma'am.
What if I'm what if I don't want to be certified as a minority or want to go from, can I just bid on these jobs now? If they come
Sure.
available?
Sure. Certification is not required to bid on a city project. Anyone could bid on a city contract opportunity.
And as you said, being part of like the discrimination and something, and then they don't have to pay fee. So I wanted to know that being just Asian is enough, or they have to provide that they were victim of discrimination.
Okay. Asians, subcontinent Asians, Hispanic Americans, African Americans. When I say African Americans, I'm referring to blacks and women. Women are groups that are presumed to have been victims of discrimination. So you're automatically considered to be disadvantaged or considered to be a minority.
So you got proven nothing?
You don't have to prove anything. It's only when you're outside of that boundary of groups are identified where you have to make a case for consideration. Okay. So to kind of summarize things, the certification programs, of which there are 5 that we are involved in, are tools to help you grow your business. And the whole point of this exercise is to try to do just that, to help you grow your businesses, create jobs that will benefit yourself as well as citizens of Chicago, and to help the base overall. Those 5 programs, again, they're tools that can help you. They're not guarantees for contracts, but most certainly when you're out there marketing your business, as I presume you all will be, it'll be good to be able to hold that out, or yourself out in those categories. There are a lot of opportunities that come about in many ways. I advise you to look into them and be creative in looking at how you might be able to provide a service or provide a good to the city. Yes.
Do you have to be a resident of Chicago as well?
You don't have to be a resident of Chicago, but again, if we're looking at the 6 county region that we're talking about where your business should be based, you're presuming that to be the case. You would need to be a legal resident of the city. I mean, not of the city, but of the country. So, for example, if I'm a lawfully, let's say, I guess if I'm, I don't know what you call it, a legal resident of the state, United States, permanent resident. Yes, thank you. That would qualify. Okay. I know we went through a lot of information, but we're available to help if you have any questions. Okay. All right. That being said, I'll thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.